This is Anusha. This is the fourth video of my end-to-end cab booking analysis playlist, where I will be discussing the observed trends, insights and recommendations based on the analysis of my primary numerical columns present in the data. For the project introduction, problem statement and data overview, please go through the first video. For univariate analysis, you can go through the second and third videos of the playlist. You can find the links in the description. So we'll start with the analysis now. First, we'll be answering some research questions. To what extent is the base pair influenced by other numerical trip attributes? Here I have created a correlation matrix for the numerical columns. As I see, there is a strong correlation between the trip miles, that is the trip distance, trip time, and the base passenger fare. Because as the trip distance increases, its time increases as well as the fare. And the driver pay also has a strong correlation because the longer the trip is, the driver pay increases accordingly. The other columns like tolls, airport fee and tips and total congestion, these columns show no correlation because these columns, though numerical, are in discrete values. That is the reason we don't see any correlation, but we would analyze them further. The next question I am trying is, are higher base fares associated with peak demand hours? So here I plotted a trip volume with respect to the hours, 24 hours, and this is the line showing the average base fare changes. So here I see the trip volume is highest somewhere around 6-7 o'clock, and the base fare is highest here at 4 p.m. So when we check about the hourly trends, fare versus volume, at 12 to 2 a.m., yes, trip volume sharply drops by 33%, reflecting the post-midnight lull. And at 2 to 3 a.m., yes, despite low demand, average fare increases by 10%, likely due to longer airport or outer borough trips. At 3 to 4 a.m., there is a sharp increase in passenger fare, records the highest fare surge, 18%, including high value trips despite low volume. As you see, the volume is very low. It is a potential driver incentive window, you can say. And at 5 to 7 p.m., this is from 5 to 7 p.m., the trip volume jumps 57%, driven by evening commute and short distance demand. And at 6 to 7 p.m., average fare dips by approximately 11.5% at 6 to 7 p.m. Yes, so even as the volume peaks, even as the trip volume is more, still the average fare dips by 11.5%, suggesting many short low fare trips dominating this hour. Are high fares during specific hours driven by longer trip distance? To answer this question, I have plotted the visual for showing the trip distance in the bars and the average fare in the line. So the key insights would be at 3 to 4 a.m. as you can see, average fare rises by approximately 18%, accompanied by 16.3 increase in average trip distance. Yes, the average trip distance has also increased, indicating longer trips drive higher fares during this hour. If you see in the previous video, if here the trip volume is very low, but here when trip volume is very low, but if I see the trip distance at this time is very high. And at 6 to 8 a.m., that is this time, so at 6 to 8 a.m., the average trip distance drops sharply by 40%, suggesting a surge in shorter, likely local trips during mornings. Then do longer trip times during certain hours lead to higher fares? So for interpreting trip time versus fare patterns, I have plotted the average trip time in bars and the average base fare with the line. So at 2 to 4 p.m., yes, average trip time is relatively high, but average fare remains low. Sorry, 2 to 4 p.m. is here. Yes, the average trip time is high, but the average fare remains low. This suggests many longer duration trips at lower distances or lower rates, likely due to heavy traffic congestion causing delays without increasing trip distance or fare significantly. At 3 to 4 am, that is this place, both average trip time and fare are high, indicating long distance trips with higher fares such as airport runs or trips to outer boroughs during low traffic periods. Here I have plotted the trip distance dividing into the bins and the pickup hour, and this is the average of prices base fare. So to answer this question, when does the city that never sleeps, I'm talking about New York, travel the most? So to see here I can see there is a darker pattern from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. indicating the more base average fare here with these distances 25 to 30 miles, and mostly in this window there are more travel. This suggests there are more trips in this window. The high average fare between 2 to 6 p.m. may be driven by dynamic prices and a supply demand imbalance. So are high fares linked to peak demand hours like 4 to 6 p.m.? So the current situation is trip volume peaks sharply between 4 to 6 p.m. driven by evening commuters leaving work and running errands. Despite high demand, many trips are short distance with lower individual fares, limiting driver earnings per trip. Recommendations to boost business from 4 to 6 p.m. is targeted driver deployment. Preposition more drivers in high demand zones, example midtown, downtown, by 3:30 p.m. to capture that early demand. And short trip incentives offer bonuses or loyalty perks for completing multiple short trips to boost trip volume and driver efficiency. Are high fares linked to long trips at 2 to 4 am? For that, high paying long distance rides for the airport especially boost earnings. Less traffic in that time means faster trips and high per minute revenue. But the cons would be longer wait times between rides, reducing overall trip volume. Lower demand means fewer total rides, increasing downtime between the rides. Recommendations to boost business from 2 to 4 am are incentivize drivers, offer bonuses for accepting airport rides during this window, pre-booking and scheduling. Encourage passengers to pre-book airport trips late night or early morning, and targeted marketing. Promote rides to shift workers, early travelers and airport staff to take rides at this time. In the next video, I would be discussing the trends, insights and recommendations based on the other columns present in the data. Thank you.